Okay, here we are, Game 5, Allied Final Tournament, January 2018. That's right, Allied Final StarCraft in 2018. Here are the teams. Questionmark, also known as Frost, as Germany. Yams coming in at Italy, and Molotow, the wily veteran, the German machine, coming forward here as Spain. So this veteran is going to look to take this new team off to the promised land. The promised land being victory. EXO coming in at the captain position here at UK, followed by Krasnaya as his famous France. DST Waff, I believe this is his first ranked game. For the tournament. So he's coming in as Norway, and then Chris has his trusty old Russia. He's played it incessantly in the last 3 or 4 months, and it's gotten really, really good. So here he is in a match game, taking out Russia, doing a quick 6 tank. Well, not quite 6, more like 4 tank. I guess that's what's left. Clearing out Poland and knocking out a couple bunkers. He's drawn a lot of attention here, and not all the BCs are over getting ready to attack. So I'm just going to take out the unit build over there so we can see 27 kills. And, oh, this is not Pelly, this is Kraz going on a Spain drop, dropping on Madrid. Bunkers are not loaded. Spain coming back. He's a double drop coming in from EXO. This is a lot of men, a lot of firebats, a lot of veteran units coming in right into the heart of Spain. They're going to look to try to take buildings out. Armory is not the target you necessarily want to be going for. You definitely be better to move up here and try to go for the starport. Didn't quite get it. Didn't quite get a lot. So getting this command center, getting this barracks would be useful. So here he is, just got a little bit left, but not going to get anything. So you really got to think that this is already a disadvantage for the Allies, because here they are bringing their tanks in, and it's just going to get chewed up by these BCs, and Molotov was able to get a full tax there. Maybe he just didn't get this tax. He wasn't able to get Africa because of the APM he's had to use here in Spain, but the kills 70 for Kraz. It looks really good, but that's based on taking out a bunch of Spanish infantry. We're going to imagine that Germany's got quite a few tanks left. He possibly has all his tanks left. So here we have 7 or 8. Going to clean up France, and yeah, that looks like if that's 8 tanks, that's all his tanks. So really, you know, they went for a strategy, and they just weren't targeting the right buildings, just a little bit not coordinated. They probably should have flown a little bit more into this area to where the barracks and the command center were, if you look at the target primary buildings, or you go to the classic position and you knock out the starport so that they can't put early drop pressure on UK. You have to do one or the other, and they did neither. Now 84 kills, very nice as France. So he was killing the Axis, so you know, good job on Kraz, but with minimal BC losses as well as minimal tank losses, this rush should be stopped here when you'd like to be doing a little bit more pressure. Getting this core would be ever valuable. If you were to move men into this area and just target this core, that would be a nice swing over for the Allies, but BC's being unharassed, knocking out the 2 bunkers, and then right down to the physics. Core at half health. There we could see it, maybe 3/4. He's going to try to run his BCs out. Not going to be successful, but if he turns and fight, he could knock off some of these messers. He's going to have to turn and fight now. There's really no choice. But, well, decided to keep running. But anyways, that was a decent attack, but because of all the BCs and all the German tanks there, wasn't able to break. A little bit of an uncoordinated RAF strike here by EXO. Probably could have targeted this end one and gotten 2 volleys off. I don't know if it would have killed him. It would have been close. I would have think he would come up a little bit short. So decent rush, but you gotta be a little bit worried as the Allies in this position. If I was the Allies, I would probably be calling to keep focusing on Spain, because a lot of Spain's buildings and a lot of the bunkers, a lot of the natural defenses have been taken out. Spain is going to be a natural double drop target. So you want to defend UK, you want to fight for control of Ireland, keep the Atlantic over here clear of Axis fighters like this, and focus on Africa. These are the things you want to do, and as Russia, you want to be in a position to either A, be able to attack East or Balks when you see VCs coming, or Messers coming to Spain, or you want to be starting to either build fighters to help with the air control, or maybe go drops to help with counter-dropping UK or possibly tripling Spain. These are the things that you could do. And Chris is going to focus on keeping constant pressure on the Axis. So this is good because it keeps the BCs and the tanks in this area here, instead of doing things like pushing into Russia, going Athens here, and the drop. I don't know if this is advisable. You don't really have enough ground to combat these tanks, even if when this drop lands. So you did buy some BC shots, so I'll have to give credit to that. So it was worth it in that he got a BC. The EXO did have a little bit of an opportunity there to keep hitting a half health BC, but just quite not able to get in there. Just a little bit hesitant. Smart he didn't go back on that with the Messers chasing him. You do want to fight over these Marines if you can, but Messers don't really want to have that. Question mark reconsidering his options, and his options look like putting a little bit of pressure on Norway, if I interpret his BC movements correctly. So he's gonna Yamato that. You normally don't have to Yamato this when you start going third turn, because normally Norways only fill this kind of fourth, fifth turn, if they fill it at all. It's not quite of a popular bunker to fill as compared to these two. So normally saving your Yamatos for these items, like not items but buildings, is more advisable. So here, Britain not defended, couple of mines. Just as I say that, some defenses are starting to be made. Molo is focusing on med, which is exactly what you do. If you get focused as Spain, you want to make sure to clear out this med trig, make sure that you're able to hold Spain, and then focus on doing some minor aggressive options, either by doing like a 5 to 7 dropship UK, maybe trying to do a little USA, some pressure on Middle East, countering an attack in Africa. These are types of objectives that you can be shooting for. So pressure on Balks. So Chris is keeping constant pressure up here. So he's choosing the route of being able to counterattack if when he sees the BCs crossing into France, UK, or Spain. He probably will see the Messers down here, and that's why he's poking now. Figures it's safe, and it absolutely is. Question mark taking the physics lab down here. So this would be a really good target to prevent him from making any more BCs. I know his Messers are definitely the most powerful unit that he has access to so far in this game, but if you knock out the BCs, you at least control the amount of that game-changing mass of hit points and damage that the BCs become later on. So EXO waiting for this trigger, and when you want to maintain the air advantage, you have to knock out as many of these scouts as possible, being sure not to take too many marine damage, and he got all of them but 2. So very, very good on EXO, trying to regain Wraith control. Here Molo taking what he can get, and that's Ireland. He's just waiting for it. He wants to get it immediately as soon as it spawns. Just wants to fly in there, land. There he is. He's gonna land. Ba-doop. Lands a couple Marines. Doesn't have enough to make any defensive structures or anything, but it'd be interesting to see if he keeps a small force. So he switches out his regular Marines for veterans, and yeah, there's his 6 regulars, and there's the SCV, looking like he wants to maybe build a defensive structure, or he might be putting him here to start healing the turret. But a little bit of lag we're getting. This is kind of unusual, but Chris looking to take this building, but he realizes he won't get it in time. It's a little bit too close to 2. Would have had to send this building over about 20 seconds prior, but that's alright. Still getting a solid attack without the BCs being present. Very wisely pulling his tanks, and good box push. He's seeing question mark target Oslo, and doesn't look like there's anything the allies can do. An aggressive play would be to send your army here and then drop behind them, although the BCs could counter that by moving out into the sea. Waff thinking the better of it. Question mark with the 5100 tax, and that's because of the Oslo trigger. The Oslo tax there. Nice cash over from the allies to the Axis. Let's take a peek at upgrades. Let's see what everyone's getting. No infantry upgrades for Italy. BC's 2 attack upgrades. Let's see the Waff. 1, so a little bit low on the upgrades for Exo. He's getting a second attack upgrade right here. Although I doubt not. Kraz never upgrades his infantry because he makes dragoons. And lastly, Russia. Let's see what they have. 2 on the offense, and of course he's going to have 3 on the infantry. So the only thing is, yeah, just the UK being a little bit slower on the upgrades. I actually like that. Like when you don't have your full contingent of RAF and you're struggling to keep up your RAF counts, you want to be building more plane units and not upgrading the only small amount ones that you have. So I don't mind a little bit slower on the upgrades. The only downside to that is if and when UK gets taken, then you're at a real disadvantage in mid to late game RAFs versus Messers, because the RAF really require those upgrades to be able to overpower the BCs and Messers in mid to late game, and 2-0 upgrades just aren't going to cut it in late game, and same with when you get your BCs at D-Day. Just yeah, 2-0 is not going to cut it. But again, this is an upgrade timing that I do like, and it all depends how you're basing it is how much air you have, and it's like with any units. You want to be upgrading the units that you have either the most influence with or that you have the most of. So Italy, if you've got a lot of tanks remaining and you want to have a real aggressive front against Russia, constantly poking, then upgrading your tanks does make sense. So as we can see, Yams not upgrading his tanks, but that's all right. Most Italy's don't, but you can. If you're going for like a ghost marine strategy without any bunks, then you definitely want to be upgrading your Marines as Italy. Like especially when you start getting closer to the 70-80 unit count, that's kind of when you're starting to look at an offensive upgrade first because of the bunkers, because you're building bunkers naturally as Italy. But then also the armor can make sense. So here's a little fleet for fleet. Chris is coming a little bit of the disadvantage on that, but not by much. He is able to knock out a couple bunkers. Would love to get this siege tank at some point. Here, question marks, grabbing the industry, and I'm sure Yams would have liked to grab it, but question mark just wanted to guarantee have it. The bomber come in, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, and it's done, finished off. Meanwhile, we have a UK attack. Spain coming in with drops, and look, Molo's being effective. He's doing what he can after getting double dropped, and he's not being too overly aggressive, just doing what he can, getting Med, getting Ireland, and becoming a positive influence for his team. And this team of youngsters, these upstarts, question marks and Yams, coming into the scene and doing very well in a tournament game. This would have been unthought of years ago, pre the 1.18 patch, like in 2010, 2012, it'd be just about impossible for new people to come in and be able to do so well in a tournament such as this. But this is the new age. These are the Die and Melee players coming over to UMS, seeing the scene that we have, and liking Allied Final. And really, this scene is many years in the making. There's a lot of people to thank, and there's a lot of people that come into this and enjoy playing the game and enjoy the strategy that this game continues to have so many years later. 15 plus years later. Algeria just getting taken. Cities are his. He's got his drops ready. Because UK is taken, you still can do a double Spain. It's just dangerous. Because if you're not able to do crippling damage to Spain, you're at an extreme disadvantage as allies. If you forego retaking UK before retaking Ireland, then yeah, it's putting a lot of pressure on that drop. So here we can see Molo not loading up his tanks. He's doing this on purpose so he can micro his tanks in case he gets dropped. He wants to keep these here for the home defense. Dropping the Marines that he can. This is an anti-France bunker. If he was scared of a Norway drop, he would probably build a bunker kind of around here, but he's more worried about France. And here, look at the German fire bats and troops being placed right here. This is the area of pressure that they think it's going to come, and they're right. There are the drops right there. Successfully taking the islands. So good job, kraz, getting those islands. Here it looks like a core is an aggressive core play. But not needing to fight over that. So just a real heads-up play, and Germany's going to get his probe in about 2-3 turns. So you're not going to have messers, the 4 messers being spawned there for at least 2 turns. So that's at least 8 messers in favor going over to the Allies, would just be knocking out that building. So here Spain's dropping. They're going to look to try to win the air advantage. BCs are caught in the middle of the drop. This could be the winning fight. Let's see how this is shaping up. Allies just getting their drop down, looking to fight underneath the Marines, but with the BCs coming up, they're not going to be around for long. You have to be getting your drops out here in this occasion if you're Norway, because you are going to lose this battle. And in a pub game, this is probably where they call GG. But this is not a pub game. This is a tournament, and the Axis have to put crippling pressure. But that all starts with grabbing this Oslo tax, possibly grabbing this industry next turn. Of course, it's 2. Russia being very careful. These SCVs, I'm sure they don't want to be going this way, but they're going to get a good scout going on. Unusually good scout. There's kraz looking to be aggressive. He would have wanted to be aggressive before 2 if he was doing, let's say, a Rome drop or possibly dropping into France. Doesn't have any of his allies helping, so a Spain drop would be risky. No point going Rome if you're not going to do it before tax. So a good little set play, as you can see the allies gathering over here, would be to make a drop into this area, and when the Axis send air to go and crush it, and that's when you're hitting east at the same time, crushing these bunkers and getting to the capital. By the time the BCs get back here, you're already at this bunker line instead of this bunker line. These are the types of plays you want to be setting up as a team. Here, D-Day looking to get camped. It is going to spawn. Axis in a great position to knock this out and put them even further ahead in this game. When you don't control UK and you're against good players, then you always want to cancel the D-Day trigger. That means killing all the buildings here except for this control tower. Here we go, the attack is coming. Messers are here. Here's the distraction attack. This is the Italian BCs. I'm looking for the... Where's the fleet? There's the fleet taking care of the drop. Good job on EXO moving his troops right into this corner, saying that you have to go as far out of your way as possible before the BCs can leave. And now the BCs are seeing that the real attack is coming out, And this is the modified version of the play I was just saying, that they were just waiting for the BCs to make sure not being on this line before hitting that full force. And here's that full force attack. Now at Berlin, BCs are coming out. They have marine cover. They have the carriers. Carriers are probably still building interceptors because they only spawned at 410, so there's probably only about half full right now. Yams does not have the money for upgrading interceptors. These carriers are just sitting there. They are not being used because there's no money for interceptors. He's got to wait till 2 until this is being used. Right now, the only defensive position they have are these bunkers, which are only partially loaded. Unless they were just reloaded, these are mostly empty bunkers. You have to be going around this area to be fighting with BCs. You can't be enveloped and allow the allies to both hit you with ground and air. But look at the push through, and now Chris is realizing the game will not be won, getting his tanks out after going right through Berlin. So very good attack, and let's see how Krasnaya's drop is doing. So he was able to clear out most of the cities here. Would have liked to get this though, the probe and Rome, but knocks out all these cities, and Molo will probably get the tax for Madrid. It looks like he's got enough buildings close enough. Let's take a peek. Yeah, he got 3,000, so, well, he does have UK. So I'm not sure if he got that or not. He does have London and 2 cities and Ireland. It's questionable. It's questionable. But solid drop by Kraz. Now the Axis is counterattacking. Just a little bit of poke here in Oslo, but making the way for the drop force of Molo, keeping the allies on their toes. Got Marines really, really deep. So there are the tanks, but he's making it extremely difficult. As you can see, the Marines here, clearing out the important barracks here of the city. And wow, he's going to get a lot of value out of this. This is Waff's only command center. So Molo, seeing that, is going to target this, and like, this is very rare that you see any Axis units this deep. And this is the work of a wily veteran here. I imagine his next objective is going to be the city at the top right, but doesn't look like that anymore. He's going to see another command center. Does he focus this? No, he doesn't focus that. He's going to really be a thorn in the Allies' side. So the advantage of doing this is that the Allies have to continually send troops around and keep looking for you, using their precious micro on clearing out these little units. Here, crossing over the bridge, nice StarCraft line. Molo looks like he's going to fight over this. Great use of the bridge, and he's going to get the most out of this contingent of units. And look at the kills. This is Molo here at 400 plus kills after getting double dropped at the start. So, you know, real good showing of how to stay effective as Spain, even though getting targeted initially. So just something for all of us to look at here if you're looking at how to be an effective Spain despite aggression on you early. Question mark, looking to clear out Africa. The general path is you clear these cities out, you come down this way, and then you swing out to the right, out towards the east. And this is really bad luck for Kraz, that these drops were almost taken out, and that would have been a very, very different game if he lost both shuttles and the drops. Molo's going to be pleased that there's no army here, and he can take Algiers with this small 3-drop. He's also very fortunate that Waff has not retaken Norway at all. So Waff must have lost his drops, and he did. He lost them right here. So he hasn't rebuilt them, and so Molo doesn't need to bunker or keep a lot of troops here. He just wants to keep some troops in case some Lend-Leases are triggered, and then, you know, a bunch of RAF and possibly a BC are here, and at least you have some troops that can damage them before they can fly away. But here is another Allied attack. Started once again by Kraz, pushing in from the bottom, doing a little diversion tactic. But the main force is coming here. Italy doing a good job bringing in Russia into their only defensive structures, which are these 2 bunkers. That is literally all of the defense. There were maybe a couple bunkers here, but That really didn't do a whole lot. Germany really needed this trigger. And this is where a bunch of French dragoons would be extremely valuable. If there was like 24 dragoons, maybe this fight goes a little bit different. But with the trigger that just happened, Spain dropping whatever he can, an overwhelming BC advantage. We haven't checked the upgrades yet. I imagine it's probably 3-1. Let's see. 3-2. Very nice. And here's France trying to do what he can behind enemy lines. Nice little trigger. I love these little drops by France. He's knocking out cities. He's making the Axis continually have to go back and retax their cities. A little more pressure on Berlin. Malo being aggressive, making sure that these haven't been taxed. If I was him, I would bury this right now. Get visions to see when France is coming on Egypt. But no, they're planning an attack. This was the draw. They drew the BCs out from outside the bunkers, though it wouldn't have mattered if the BCs were here or here, but just makes it even easier for them to put pressure with Messers, an overwhelming amount of Messers by question mark, probably about 4 or 5 keys. And when you combine that with a drop from Spain, you can't really do anything as France. Like you rarely ever have a mass of men that could be able to defeat this. So fortunate that these ports have not been seen yet, but that a little bit short-lived. They will go down. These are high targets. Impeccable air control from question mark. And this is going to be very damaging for the Allies. If this can get destroyed, France's industrial base does have buildings around, so he won't be crippled as long as he gets an SCV out, but having to rebuild all of these supplies is very costly. And oh, bad luck again. And that's the risk when you're very aggressive with your drops, as he has been, and he's been very effective with them, but you get caught out once and they die very quickly. Definitely got to be targeting these BCs. Messers are gone. You're not going to get too many chances. There you go. You pick up one. Carriers are split from the actual force. And only one bunker left. So fighting in this area is not necessarily too bad. Should be able to destroy it with the tanks and knocking out what's left of Italy. Italy would have wanted to lift these buildings out for sure. So Yams, if you're listening, you pretty much your whole country is destroyed. Germany's destroyed. This is not defended at all. This is very likely where the Allies are going to be attacking. So you want to lift your buildings generally either to Rome or over to, which was a little bit safer, over here in France. So yeah, the building's knocked out for Italy, and he does have an SCV. I don't see any barracks or anything, so he's really stunted, and only 2,400 cash. He's got to spend at least 4,000 to 1,000 just to retax some of these cities. And you have to build a command center. And then when you build the barracks this turn, you're not going to be able to produce any Marines because you're not going to have any money left. So you have to wait for until next turn. So it basically stunts Italy for a turn when they're desperately needed to have Marine cover for these BCs. Question mark doing a good job healing, something that he really focuses on. There's his CC tucked away here in the north part of Italy, nice and safe. Very safe starport area as well over here in Switzerland, and just going to rebuild these Messerschmitts to be able to protect these BCs, and just probably has enough BCs that he doesn't even need Messerschmitts, but he's making sure not to take any chances. This is a tournament game. He is playing to win. He's just looking to be a thorn in the side. He would love to fight this air. He's just scouting. Probably wants to set up his next Oslo take. Little something I do, I guess Chris picked up, is having a building here in the area towards Finland. Sometimes when the Axis are getting cheeky, instead of dropping Norway, they'll try to drop in this area here or here, and then be able to target the supply depots, which are normally here or here. This time they're even safer, but not every Norway does that. So he's looking for an air fight. He wants to make a difference here. Spain controlling his Marines, gonna knock out the wells. This is really the last main objective for the Axis. I mean, you can try, you could do USA Canada would probably also be likely, but the value of this can't be understated. 2,000 per turn. EXO losing it right before this tax. Let's see how much he gets. He's only got 86. All he has is USA Canada, and he's only getting 1,000. He gets 1,000. That builds 2 air compared to 2,600. So big difference there. Air advantage definitely going to be going over towards Axis, even more so. All these barracks being built by Yams. Guess he got a good tax. Probably had about a 4K tax there. And this is where they need to be fighting. So BCs and carrier probably should be in this area. Want to be fighting over these minions around these tanks. They have their own tanks here, but they're not going to be much longer for this world. Just manages to get them out. Norway seeing the prize targets, able to pick up one of the barracks, but I guess that's why Yams built 3, because now he still has 2 barracks pumping and 1,800 left. He's going to be able to use about 1,000, 1,200 on making Marines, and use the rest to retake your cities that were just destroyed. And see what you do. You do 1, 2, 3, 4. There's at least 4 cities that you can take. Athens still being whole. That's probably why he had such a good tax, including these cities here. So that's why Italy taxed so well. Just getting that sneaky probe. Molo still being a pain, microing what's left of his Marines. Is France able to take him out? France got 3-3 Marines. So when the rest of these get here, he should be able to take them on. But Molo still microing, going down into these cities. Gonna see this Dragoon here, and kind of gets an idea of what's around, and that's France taking these cities. Question mark looking to control the tax. Would have liked to take that, but guess Spain's gonna do that for him. Just making sure there was no army around here. Being very safe with his command center, keeping it floated over here in Med. Extremely important building for him. And one thing I gotta give it to question mark is that he's not overly aggressive with his BCs. He likes to send them up to Oslo, maybe occasionally UK, but he rarely leaves the continent. He really allows his messers to do most of his poking around the map, and I gotta hand it with his messer control. That's the way he definitely wants to be playing if he's looking to optimally win these games. And not a good tax for question mark there. He wasn't able to retake a lot of these cities. He didn't get a Berlin tax. But when you have France pushing here, Molo's going to see this. He should pull back to this choke. Throwing up a couple of bunkers here would be very devastating. Don't know if he's going to get a chance to do it this time, but if Molo can make a 2 or 3 bunker line here and just defend it, and occasionally drop with the rest of his Marines and micro, be very, very devastating that the Allies don't have this tax as well as all the rest of this tax. And because Germany's not taxing well, he's really relying on his existing BCs and on Yams and Molo getting taxed themselves and putting pressure around the map. So here we can see Molo doing it in Africa. Yams building up a forest. Here now he's putting pressure. I really like that, Yams. Good job. It's a solid idea. Now that the Allies are pushing back into Africa, switch the pressure up and go up into Norway. And there's Gunn, as you can see, probably watching another match. So far, the team Argonaut is up 4-0 right now at the beginning of this match, and we're going to have to see how this concludes. Whether it becomes 5-0 with a third Axis win, or whether it becomes 4-1. I like the idea, trying to take this industry. You had to defend a little bit more with the troops that you already had there, but Allies are going to be able to clean this up and retake control of their country to a degree, till the Messers get there. And there they are. Now this force can continue to take cities, and tanks are not going to help a whole lot, but the rest of this army will. Knowing that they need Norway, that they can't allow the Axis to start taking this industry. It's different about Oslo. You can give up Oslo if you know that you're behind an era, which they absolutely are. But there's no way that you can give up the rest of these cities. There's the Lend getting spawned, getting 6 RAF out. Up, down, up, down. That's how this Axis is doing. They go Africa, they go Norway, they go Africa, and then they're probably going to go Norway. When this army gets out, they're just keeping, wherever the Allies are not, the Axis are putting pressure. And that's definitely what's one of the main factors that's winning them this game. Love the scout poking, love the scout control, not putting your BCs in jeopardy. He knows he can get his scouts out. They have shields, they have movement. He's not going to let them get cornered like the BCs can get cornered. Getting dropped on. You don't drop Messers. There's no point dropping Messers. Not a fight. You only want to fight over these Marines, and when you have the Russian scouts with these Marines and the scouts, this is a fight that you could want. Paradrop by Molo. He's looking to take out RAF, and they get a few. All the tanks are still there, so you can win the ground battle here as the Allies, but I don't know if you can win the air battle. Not quite enough of Marines. But this isn't a fight that you want without the BCs there. Question being very careful. And excuse the lag. Unfortunately, tanks against BCs is not going to be pretty, and I imagine that the BCs are going to push right up until here, and then the Messers are going to chase down a lot of these tanks up until at least the north of Norway. Question looking to get air. He wants air trades. That was effective for them, taking out a lot of tanks. Really takes away the hitting power of the Allies. And this could be curtain call with all these units that are getting taken out. If there's a fight over Finland, you have to give it to the advantage to the Axis. Easy retreat right back into the sea. But question's not going to overstay his welcome. Perhaps he's got some damage BCs. No, he doesn't have any damage BCs. So just carriers are both damaged, but shields have respawned on them. Now waiting for some air reinforcements. I wonder if he's going to call on his allies to just support him in Leningrad and just take the fight right here with ground troops. France has regained control of Africa. Going ahead, he's got a nice solid army there. Still only the one bunker made by Molo. Right there. So, been able to stay aggressive and not waste too much money. Again, he does not need to build bunkers here. Norway doesn't have drops. Norway's just trying to live. There he is producing Marines. Storage depot. I'm sure he'd like to build storage depots here on his cities, but with all these messers and all the pressure that's going up towards him, then that's just not possible. He's doing what he can, building units. Great timing on this poke from Question. Gonna knock out this army. Ooh, Waff fighting in Algeria, but I don't think they have enough Marines for this. There's the fight. Messer's got a huge advantage over, probably a 2-to-1 over the Waff. The Marines not doing enough damage, and the Messers are going to be able to take that out and take control of Algeria. Now, that's the killing blow, losing all those tanks over in Norway, with the Allies not being able to put any sort of aggression anymore on the map. Africa was going to get taken once more. And BCs were nowhere near going to be destroyed, and the Allies go ahead and put up the GG. 39 minutes and 5 seconds. Let's peek at the game stats. But yeah, really nice play. I have to hand it to yeah, every player. Every player really stepped up. Like Question, Yams, Molo with his wily veteran presence. Really, just a real pleasure to see these performances. Kraz didn't get Turkey, but did have Africa. But look at Molo, taxing the most in the game as Spain. So you're going to probably win the game if Spain is taxing more than Germany, generally, because that means you have a lot of land taken. But really nice job. Look at these kills by Questionmark. This is just from his air. And this is a good KDA from Chris. Like, this is for kills lost. 700 kills is Russia. Normally that's enough to take it. But look at Molo. Even eclipsing Kraz here. 542. Very impressive. And game 5 in the books. 5-0 for Team Argonaut. And you really got to wonder what Team Gunner is going to do about it. So I know Gunner, he's gonna maybe have to speak with his team. He hasn't been in any of these games yet, and now this is 3 Axis games that they've lost. So we're gonna see if this tournament's gonna become a blowout, like one where it's very one-sided, or if we're gonna get back and we're gonna get to something a little more competitive. So this is Ravixel, and I'm just as anxious to see as you all. So game 5 in the books. Allied Final, January 2018. We'll be casting more.